moving on to Found Footage 3D. This is a Shudder exclusive, and now it's on Blu-ray. It came out on Shudder first, and well, as you can sort of see it in there, but I don't know if you caught it. But so this is a story of Derek. He and his crew. He wants to make the first ever 3D found footage film. He's got this director named Andrew who thinks that it doesn't make any sense. Why would someone who's doing found footage be doing it in 3D? But Mark wants to do it. And he brings his ex-wife, Amy, in on this with a bunch of other people that are part of this. There's Lily, there's his brother Mark, and there's Carl. And they're doing this found footage horror film in 3D, and it's about a husband and wife who go out to this cabin that's supposedly haunted, and the husband knows that it's haunted, and then stuff starts to happen because apparently in this context of the film that they're making, according to the story, a man went nuts, murdered his wife. Like he went crazy or something got inside of him or whatever, and it Spectre of Doom or something is what it's called. Spectre of Death is what the movie's called that they're making. And there's this weird specter thing that's going to come after them. Well, when they get there, things start to go weird, and eventually the specter thing ends up being real and goes after them. That's the basic plot. It's like my fourth time, I think, watching this. And I'm seeing the problems now that I'm reviewing movies and stuff. It's just like, okay. One, while there are some creepy things that happen throughout the film, nothing really big happens until towards the end of the film. You got where something comes out of nowhere and hits Lily in the face and knocks her out. Their stuff gets, like the cameraman's stuff gets destroyed. There's this Mark, the cameraman, he's going through footage and he finds there's something in the window during a scene where Derek and Amy, as his ex-wife, are doing a scene. He sees something in the window, and then something weird happens. There's another where something weird is going on. Amy, then it picks up towards the end where they're sleeping and Amy gets cut. And Derek says she did it herself to get attention. And Mark's trying to defend her, and he's like, you have no idea who my wife is. I know my wife. You don't. Then it all comes to a hit at the end. Towards the end when they're filming a scene where he wants to set up a surveillance camera in the corner of the kitchen, but Andrew says that it would make sense to do that because there's no such thing as a 3D surveillance camera. But Derek wants it to be 3D. And Andrew says there's no way for it to be 3D because there's no such thing as a 3D surveillance camera. So the whole film's going to be 3D except for that scene. He says, no, we're going to figure out a way. Take two GoPros, duct tape them together, put them up there, and it'll work. Left and right, 3D. And he puts them up there and he says it might work. I told you that part. It's not really important, but it sort of is. Because they had that camera set up in the corner. When it comes to a head, this guy named Scott is coming to check out the film. They're doing an interview or something. And during this scene, like there's something, I don't know if they really hinted at it, but Amy grabs the hammer. She smashes Derek upside the face, upside the head. And then you got, although later when Mark goes to get the microphone that was attached to Derek, there's like no body left. It's all ripped to shreds. How can you do that with a hammer? I understand there might be some otherworldly force in there, but he's ripped to pieces. And that Scott guy, he gets killed, but not really because he comes back later, only to get killed again. Carl, the camera guy, after his stuff is destroyed, says he's leaving. and he takes off and he's found dead in the last reel. It's just in one of the last scenes, and it gets to the point where, like, one, they had too many people in the film to begin with, and then they brought a new guy in, and it gets complicated for, because usually you get these found footage films, like the ones I've reviewed so far. How many were in each of them, right? And I was watching, there was 3. Amber Alert, there were 3, right? What did it before that? Grave Encounters, there was 5, but it worked with the concept of what they were doing. Here, because in Grave Encounters, people were killed along the way. Like, Houston gets flung across the hallway and dies. What's his name? Gets dragged into the... TC gets dragged into the bathtub. Matt takes a nosedive down the elevator shaft. Sasha disappears in the fog. It takes place sporadically throughout the film. But here, the only one that was gone was Carl, the cameraman, and he left. And then he shows up dead during the last part of the film. We don't see his death, we don't see nothing. Here, it all happens so quickly, you can't even see, like, right away, Amy kills Derek. And then the door flies out, kills Scott, supposedly, but he comes back later. And he still dies, but her hand goes through Andrew. They only see it on camera, and he dies. Then Lily and Mark are running through the woods. They turn off the camera light so you can't be seen. They have to turn it back on because they find the body of Carl, and then Lily gets sucked in by the specter or whatever, and she dies. That leaves 2, Amy and Mark, and that leads to the end, which I'll get to later because I want to talk about the setup here. They go to these 2 guys who are sitting on a porch, and they realize, and they're like, you know, this is great. We need to have them do a warning thing, right? Because this movie is like poking at the tropes. It's like a Scream for found footage films. And they're pointing out the tropes, like they have to find a reason for them to keep holding the camera throughout the entire film while they don't stop filming. And they point out, they have someone make a warning. So these 2 old guys, and they have them film a warning. And right after, when they tell them where they're actually going, they're like, no, you can't go there. No. They don't tell them why. And that's one of the problems I have with this, is that they weren't forewarned about anything. Yes, in the story, there's a reason why all this stuff is happening. Like in the fictional film that they're making, someone killed his wife out there. And there was something that made him do it. Here, there's no warning, there's no content of what is actually out there. You're made to believe that maybe whatever they're doing in their film is coming true, but it still doesn't make any sense. Because it's kind of a swerve. Because throughout the film, Derek starts acting erratic the more and more they're there. He starts doing his own stuff to the film, like he must have that camera in the corner. And then they say, again, pulling at the tropes, no one can survive a found footage horror movie, but Derek's like, fuck it, I'm gonna survive. He's like, I think he literally says, fuck you, I'm living. So he writes it in where he's gotta survive. Funny thing is, he's the first one that dies. Supposedly. For all we know, Carl could have died first, but he's the first one we see die. So there's that. So that's kind of ironic, but yeah, it's just kind of the tropes that get poked at. Scream. But yeah, this sort of, and if you look in there, you can see her too. The cover kind of points out who the killer is going to be, because watching it, I'm like, okay, so she's got to be. So it kind of, you got to pick your covers right, okay? If you don't want people to know who the killer is right away, don't put that on your cover, because I was already expecting it. But if no one saw it before, it would be a good twist, because if they're expecting Derek to go off, she grabs a hammer and starts killing him. It works. Then we get to the end. Like I said, everybody dies one after one after one, leaving Mark and Amy. And what I like, they do a split screen thing where they got her camera pointed out there, or his camera pointed out there, her camera pointed at him. And then they end up getting into a car crash, and Amy starts saying, I'm sorry. Still no explanation, though, as to what's going on or why she's the one that's been targeted. And then he dies. For all we know, she dies too, but he dies and the movie ends. You have to give an explanation to what's going on. You have to. Or at least a sense of what's going on. There's not even a legend or folklore behind what's going on at this cabin. You just have the old folks saying, no, you don't want to go there. They don't give a reason why. You just say, no, you don't want to go there. Why? I think they even ask why, and they don't say anything. They just go into the bar or whatever. It's like, what? You have to put some kind of folklore or exposition to tell us what happened here, what might go on with them, what a legend is. You can't just say, no, don't go there, and then shit happens, but you have no idea what it is. Is it the Spectre? Is it something else? You don't know because they didn't give you enough information to go on. And that's one of the big flaws of this film, is you don't get enough information to go on. What is it? Why did it attach itself to Amy? Why did it kill Carl when he was obviously leaving and wouldn't have been a threat, really? Because everybody has to die? Not really, because with the Carl situation, you can have him come back after everyone's dead, find the footage, and he could be the one putting the footage out. Because you kill everyone, and who's... That's another thing. Who's putting out this footage, right? Somebody's got to put out the footage. No one survives to put out the footage. The cops. It could have been him. Who knows? I don't. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's decent, but there's still a lot of questions as to what's going on. I'm sure found footage movies are supposed to give questions, but they say that the Blair Witch Project was vague at the information. At least it gave information about the Blair Witch and everything you need to know about the lore going into it. Here, you didn't have jack shit of lore going in. You had the fictional excuse of the movie they were making, but that's not enough. They gave you that, but that's not what's happening here. Because if it was, then it would go exactly the way their fake movie was supposed to go, which was he was going to kill her, not the other way around. And you also don't get enough information about the relationship between Amy and Derek and why it went south and what's going on and why he believes that she's doing this to get attention and what is all going on. You don't get enough of the information to go on to even. I gotta give it a 5. I can't talk anymore. I'm giving Found Footage 3D a 5 out of 10. Thought it would be better. I thought I would give it a better one, but no, 5 out of 10. So what are your thoughts on Found Footage 3D? What do you think? Like, share, and subscribe. They give it a 4.5. So I was close with the 5. So like, share, and subscribe. Love, peace, and chicken grease.